episode, we're going to be talking about everything interesting. And today I want to talk about something which, all right. So I was having a conversation with, this was a, what you call it? I was at a hotel and I was having a conversation with one of the hotel managers and we are having it, we're talking about the fact that they don't have breakfast, right? So she was like, we don't have breakfast. I was like, why? Your hotel said you guys have complimentary breakfast. She goes, well, we can't seem to find anybody to show up to work the kitchen. And I'm like, have you guys tried put it on ad, put out anything to hire people? And she goes, yeah, we have, but unfortunately, we're not getting people to show up. There's not a lot of people who are basically, choosing to show up, and they're not for some reason able to get, to staff the kitchen. I was like, okay, so and then I realized that this is a conversation someone else had brought it up in the past, and it's something that's been ongoing where business owners are like, "Hey, you know what? I can't seem to find anyone to staff my business with. I can't, staffing is a problem. One of my favorite restaurants that I go to is like, yeah, I can't seem to find people to, show up or not, actually be reliable. And then also you kind of look at it from a perspective as to most people are reporting that 70% of people are reporting that they're stressed, and then you also have a high majority of people that are reporting high laziness for the most part. So we're going to be covering all that today. So just do me a favor, go ahead and hit the like button, go ahead hit the subscribe button, and let's go ahead and we're going to go ahead and dive in. Now, thanks again, guys, for everyone joining in. My name is Emmanuel Igwe, and I am the host of the Evolution Podcast. So today, I pretty much bring you guys, information as far as AI, business, everything from statistics and stats to help you improve your life and, get a little bit of motivational speaking. So if you believe that that's something that's going to be of value to you, just do me a favor. If you're on YouTube right now, go ahead and like the video. Go ahead and, subscribe to the channel, and we're streaming across multiple platforms. And if you're watching this video later on Spotify, just do me a favor and just go ahead and hit the follow button and share this video with your friend if you believe it's going to be of value to you. So as we get started here, let's go ahead and look into some stats here. So first thing first, I want to talk about the laziness statistics, because I think that's a statistics to cover. Then we're going to cover the fact as to how businesses are saying, there's a lot of impact being made as far as like people not showing up to work, right? So we got some statistics here for 2023. Now, most people are going to be like, Emmanuel, why are you trying to cover laziness? Like, what is the point of laziness? So what I'm going to talk about first is I want to dive through this article with you guys, right? Let's go ahead and zoom in here. So I want to go ahead and cover this article here. So 85%, so there was a survey that was done, and 85% of people on the survey admitted to procrastinating at least occasionally, with 21% confessing that they do it, often or always. Now that's 21% out of 85%. Between you and me, guys, let's look at it from this perspective. Between you and me, I want you to take a listen. Let me know in the comments or in the chat how many percent you think is actually being genuine, because I think it's actually more than 21%. I think it's more like 60-70% of people are probably even procrastinating on a pretty much on a frequent daily basis, right? And you also have the stats as far as 1 in 4, basically 1 in 4 people feel that. I do apologize for the ads, guys. For the most part, we're kind of going on straight from their website here. So 1 in 4 people feel that they are chronic procrastinators or lazy. So how does this? Why am I even talking about this? What's the purpose? You're gonna be like, okay, so what's this supposed to do for me? Like, what's the point you're trying to get into here? Anything and everything that you want to achieve in life takes a degree of work. I take a degree of work ethic. It takes a degree of you actually being there for you to actually be able to realize your success. Now, what ends up happening is a lot of people kind of go in the sense of let's say you're laying in bed, right? You're supposed to get up and go work out. You're supposed to get up and go, do something. You're supposed to get up and go mow your lawn. And you're like, you know what? I'll do it in the next 3 hours. I'll do it in the next 4 hours. Guess what ends up happening? 3 to 4 hours from now, something ends up happening and something happens. And then guess what? Whatever it is that you're supposed to do, it never gets done. Right. And you're like, oh my God, then you start feeling stressed. Right. So the stress where people are saying that they're lazy, which I'm going to actually be covering this statistics here as we kind of continue diving deeper into the article. But this is the part where it's going to get a little interesting, right? But before we go ahead and kind of dive into that, I want to go ahead and see. Let's do this really quickly. Let's go up just a tad bit here. So about 73% of people believe being lazy is a major contributor to workplace stress. Okay. Being lazy. And then you're thinking about it. How is being lazy a major contributor to workplace stress? I mean, I'm just kind of thinking about it from my perspective, like how? The only thing that I can think about is this, right? Imagine if you have something you have to do. Your boss, whoever it is, says, "Hey, Emmanuel, I need you to do ABC," right? And you got, can you get this done, for me today? And you push it you push it away, and then something else ends up happening, right? Another task gets assigned to you, and then more tasks gets assigned to you, and you keep pushing away. Eventually, you have this pile of paperwork on your desk because you're not getting things handled, because you're not getting things taken care of. Now, what ends up happening is now you're the one that's getting stressed because you're getting hit with deadlines. Versus if you had done it in the beginning, if you had knocked down the beginning, guess what? You would never have been in that situation to begin with. I don't know if you guys are getting what I'm saying for the most part, because the way I'm looking at it from my perspective, and this is just we all procrastinate. I'll be honest with you, we all procrastinate. Sometimes I get out of bed and I'm like, I don't want to work out today, but guess what? I do it, and which is interesting. Which is there's a saying that motivation and the emotion, the how would I put it? You know when you don't feel like doing something, where you're like, you know what, I don't want to do it. Like I genuinely don't want to do it. But then you end up forcing yourself and you get started doing it. And then as you start to do something, you realize in the doing that you get the confidence that you actually want. You actually get the energy to keep doing it. And for some reason, you're like, wait, the task gets done. Someone uses acronym for me, and it's the AIM acronym, AIM, right? So it is action, inspiration, and then you get the motivation, right? So in the action, you get inspired, and in inspiration, you get motivation. So the first thing first is you just got to first off take action. Once you take action, everything else pretty much follows from there. Everything else pretty much follows from there once you take action. But first thing first, you first need to take action. And I think, and for me, it's the reason why I'm talking about laziness is because there's a saying, there's a very, very famous saying that the devil tempts all men, but the idle mind tempts the devil, right? If you want to get somebody, because I was talking to an acquaintance of mine, we're having a very important decision. We're talking about addiction, how a lot of people have addictions, and from our conversation, we're talking about addictions. We're talking about how people develop addictions, right? And it's kind of like, and I was like, okay, well, there's several ways in which people get addicted to things, right? We might get addicted to drugs, might get addicted to alcohol, might get addicted to whatever it is. And my belief is this: is if you look at your personal life right now, right, just pause for a minute, right, and let's reflect. All right, we're gonna go back into a dream world. Let me see if I have the dream world sound effect. Do I have a dream world sound effect? No, let me see. Is this a dream world sound effect? No, I'm gonna see if I find another sound effect. Okay, we'll find it. We'll find. Oh, I think this is it. No, it's not. Okay. So we'll go back into a dream world, right? And I want you to think about it right now, because we all have bad habits that we have. We all have, let's say yours is eating chocolates and eating all sorts of sweets, right? Or it might be binge watching TV. It might be spending too much time on your phone. It might be, you don't have to necessarily be, for the most part, like a big drug addict or something. You just literally need to have a vice that is not adding any value to you. That is on its own is an addiction. And we're talking about addiction, and we're like, where does addictions come from? And we came to the conclusion, and I was like, this is my personal opinion. I believe that addictions come in your idle time when you have nothing going on. Because imagine you have a block of time, just absolutely nothing going on, nothing filling up your calendar, right? What is the one thing that we all do? We seek to fill up that time, but we don't seek to fill up that time with things that are like necessarily beneficial for us. We seek to fill up that time with dopamine rewarding activities, right? Hence binge watching your favorite shows, hence, drinking, hence whatever it is that you call a vice. And the reason why we do that is just because we're pleasure seeking human beings. And because they're saying that, people will do more to avoid pain than they will to gain pleasure, right? So people will do more to avoid pain. So there's the pain of that boredom, and you will do more to avoid that pain. And you'll fill up that time with anything that comes into mind. It could be, whatever, just fill in the device. You do this, dot, dot, dot when you're bored. You blah, blah, blah when you're bored. And that's the thing is boredom. And then you also have to deal with, and you're like, well, most people don't get, into drugs and alcohol due to boredom, because a friend got them into it. Well, you got to think about it. If they were busy, then they would not be hanging out with that bad friend. You know that there's a saying that you're the sum of the five people that you hang around with. If you hang around five bad people, you are going to be your four bad people. You are going to be the fifth bad person. If you hang around five bad people, you're going to be the sixth bad person. The reason being is the environment that you're in will curate the decisions that you make, because we're very much influenced by our environment, right? So if you are in an environment of people who are basically studying math, what's either going to happen is you're either going to adapt or you're going to remove yourself, right? You're gonna be like, all right, I suck at math, I'm not gonna do it. Or you're gonna be like, you know what? I'm actually gonna do, you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and double down, and I'm gonna go ahead and get this over with, right? So and get in. So that's kind of the key concept to take into account is laziness. When you're lazy, right? The reason why I'm bringing this up is where you end up picking up bad habits. And I actually would even say this: that laziness is a learned trait. I believe we learn to be lazy, right? Because think about it. If every time you wake up, let's say you get up from bed right now, right? You wake up, it's 6 a.m. or 7 a.m. Obviously, you're not watching me at 6, 7 a.m. in the morning or replaying this video 6, 7 a.m. in the morning, which if you are, that is awesome. And the reason why I say it's awesome, because you're watching me at 6, 7 a.m. in the morning. Listen, you're better in your life just by watching this, okay? That's my conclusion right there. All right. Don't let anybody tell you differently, even me. All right. But let's say you wake up at 6, 7 a.m. in the morning, right? Alarm goes off. Your alarm wakes you up. Ting, 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 ting. What do most people do? You hit the snooze button. Bam. Snooze. 15 minutes go by. Ting, 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 ting. What do you do again? You hit the boom, snooze button. 15 minutes go by. And you keep doing that. And guess what? You notice something? What ends up happening? If you know that the time you need to get out of bed at 7 a.m., most people will set their alarm for 6:15 because they need all the snoozes to be able to get up. Right? And then you're like, you're like, yeah, that's me actually, because my alarm goes off 45 minutes before I have to get up. But then that's because I need like 3 to 4 alarms to get up. And that's because you train your brain and you train your mind to say, first alarm goes off, tip, 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 slam. Second one, slam. Third one, slam. Fourth one, all right, I'm getting out of bed. And then you get out of bed and you regret your life, right? That is the key concept as to whatever it is that you do. It is a learned behavior. Laziness is learned. If you always procrastinate, procrastination, I believe, is a habit. I believe it's something that you learn. Now, this is kind of taking me away from the topic I want to talk about today because we kind of have a little bit of a lot to cover. So I'm not going to dive too much into that. But if we continue back into this article here, we have 73% of people believe being lazy, and I don't know what the ad here, being lazy is a major contributor to workplace stress. All right. So if we kind of go in a little bit more, there's so many ads on this channel, it's not even funny. 85% of respondents admit to procrastinating, at least. Oh, we covered that. Laziness costs the U.S. economy an estimated $50 billion annually in productivity. I don't know if that's true. I can't say that. I'm not the Department of Treasury. So if it is, I would say that's some crazy facts, crazy stats, right? And then we kind of go, if we continue here, it says basically around 79% of people experience some form of revenge bedtime procrastination. Okay, affected it over. This is funny. Revenge bedtime procrastination affecting the overall sleep quality. Okay, Business Insider, and 6.9.2%. Some days they are more likely to put off making decisions than making them, which is kind of interesting. As to, I think the biggest yeah, I think most people don't understand this. And I'm going to kind of, I know I'm kind of diverting here, but this article kind of, dives a little bit deeper and you have all this nine and all that stuff. But I'm not going to go into all that stats. I just kind of wanted to cover the stats on basically the workplace stress. But the stats where it says that people put off making a decision, right? Because you don't want to make that decision because you believe you're afraid of the consequences of not making a decision. This is what somebody told me one time. He goes, Emmanuel, every time you put off making a decision or you don't make a decision, do you know that you just actually made a decision? Inaction is a decision. Because what you just said is, I am now deciding to put the consequences or whatever is going to happen for, the universe or time to make that decision for me. If you make the decision to not go further your education, either by going to higher education or paying for learning, and then you're still making the amount of money you're making, that is a consequence of you making, and you are making the decision to remain in the same income bracket that you're in. Because there's a saying that the amount of money you earn is in direct correlation to the degree of the difficulty that there is in replacing you, right? And also you gotta understand also the experience that you have as well. And experience comes from what? Either doing it or learning about it. Those are two things, right? So if you don't devote the time, because you got to understand, devoting 45 minutes, maybe 45 minutes a day towards like acquiring a new skill could be the difference between in the next 3 years, you add in 40, 50 grand to your income annually to you staying exactly where you're at. Because the average income in America is around 32 to 50 grand, right? 32 to 50 grand, you factor in inflation with the cost of living rising to the point at which, if you're looking at rent, average rent is what, I think $1,400. And if you take home 3 grand, you barely have enough money. You barely have enough money left by. You barely have enough money left by, right? And this is coming from me. I used to work a job, and I'll tell you this: I used to work a job where I was making $300 a month. You're like, how are you able to live and survive in $300 a month? Well, it's a lot of borrowing money from friends. Borrow from Peter to pay Paul. Borrow from Paul to pay Peter. Borrow. I don't like. I'm not a big fan of that life. And when I see individuals deciding and saying, you know what, I'm not going to take action because for some God knows reason, you're scared, you're afraid of things not working out. And the reality is this: is 8 out of 10 times it probably will not work out. 8 out of 10 times, whatever your decision that you choose to not make because you're afraid it's not going to work, 8 out of 10 times, guess what? You probably will fail. That's part of the process. You need to actually build that in and say, you know what, if I'm not going to make a decision because it's not going to work out, then that's fine. You know what, let's say you say, hey, I'm not going to go talk to that girl because she's going to reject me. 8 out of 10 times, yes, she will. Just understand it's part of the process. I'm not going to go apply for that job because it might tell me no. Probably they will. It's part of the process. But you only need one person to say yes. That's it. Right? You only need one job to say yes and you have your dream job. You only need one person to say yes and you have your relationship. You only need one, right? Because the thing is this is you only need one. You only need to hit gold once. That's it. So if it takes you 5, 10, 15, 20, 25 efforts, it's fine. Just gotta do it once, right? And I think I'm kind of diverting here again, guys. I'm going off into motivation tangent. Let's get back on point and let's get back to the topic at hand, right? Because I believe you guys are mostly, for the most part, I believe you should be motivated by now, right? If you've been watching this channel for, we have about, a few hundred people watching, you should be motivated by now. Okay. So as we kind of dive into this here, as we go into this, so 42% of people believe technology contributes to laziness. This is also another article. 42% of people believe technology contributes to laziness. I don't know. I'm kind of I think yes, and I think no. Okay, so I'm gonna just this is just a quick chart. I'm gonna just share with you guys the stats. But this is basically a survey that was done by Statista, and Statista basically reviewed this data. And in the Statista data, they're basically saying that, let's go ahead and get this pulled up right here. In the Statista data, it's basically showing here that, to what it basically the question was, to what extent do you agree or disagree with the following statement? Technology makes us lazy. We have here 42% of people strongly, well, 28% of people agree, and then 42% of people strongly agree. I'd be very curious to see like the demographics and some like in detail, like as far as like to, you know, the stats and who are they surveying and where are they getting this data from, because 42% of people, I actually think it should be in a high number, right? Because I mean now we even have the AI world coming in, right? And you gotta think about it, right? Like if you want to build a website, like one of the things, if you're a copywriter, rather than you spending, anyone who has done copywriting will tell you, or any sort of sales, whatever it is, right? The web copy sales. It takes about what, 3.5 hours, maybe even 4.5 hours just to research who your avatar is, and then it takes you maybe another 3 4 hours to write the copy on the on whoever it is, and then another few hours. So it could take anything from 15 hours just to write the copy. And people like 15 hours. That's a lot of time. Well, if you actually wanted to get something done right, it takes time. And what's interesting is now you have Chat GPT that can literally go in and say, hey, give me the target, the ideal, give me the buyer persona of somebody who shops for tractors. And that gives you, hey, this person like this and this. This is usually where they're found here. They usually have this trade shows, this and this and this and this, and boom, you already have all the stuff you need. Boom, launch your targeting campaign. So if you're looking at it from that perspective now, is people going to get even eventually, AI is going to make you even lazier. AI is going to make people lazy. People have already been lazy with technology. I mean, you got to look at it as to majority of marriages now, which is interesting. I'm very curious to show the stats. I don't actually know the stats, but I actually want to see this. But what percentage of marriages come from online dating? Because most people don't talk to each other anymore. What percentage of marriages are from online? Percent of couples dating. Okay. Let's see if the stats are coming. So according to recent research, around 12 to 13% of marriages in the United States are now a result of connections made through online dating platforms. That's 13%. That's an insane number if you actually look at it. Because if you have 10, 20 million in marriages, I don't think that's that much a year. But let's say you have 200,000 marriages a year, and you have 12%. That's still roughly about 12,000. That's a lot just coming in from people just like meet. And obviously you look at the stats, the most people aren't even getting married, and if most of the ones that get married are coming from online dating, it's kind of showing you the fact that still people aren't even talking to each other anymore because you know is that a fact of laziness or is it a fact of societal circumstance? That's up to you to decide, right? But I was just kind of curious about that stats, and that's why I decided to kind of bring that up to actually even talk about it. But as we kind of go in, there's another article which is kind of interesting here. And you guys know this is solo. This is a solo. As when I go solo, I go about 30 minutes. So we're going to cover. We got about a few more topics here to cover. And then again, guys, just do me a favor. You're watching this, and if you're getting value from this, do me a favor. Just go ahead and hit the like button. All right, go ahead and hit that like button. And if the first time, make sure to subscribe button and hit the notification bell because you guys know dropping a live episode every day for the next 100 days. Well, technically, we got like about 30 days left. So for the next 30 days, got 30 more episodes is going to be coming out. And then everything's going to be about 2 to 3 episodes on a weekly basis, which will be I believe, one with the guests and 2 with me. So listen, guys, we're going hardcore into the media game, guys. We're definitely going pro. Okay. So if we kind of go in here, we dive into this, right? So I was kind of fascinated by the stats, and the next article I kind of want to bring up here is, remember, guys, I spoke in the earlier before when we first started. I spoke a little bit about talking about the fact that most people are choosing not to work, right? So and then the numbers are actually 40% of people are able to work but choose not to. Okay, and I want to go ahead and we're gonna dive into this data here because 40% of people can work, but they don't want to work. Okay, so if you this is a little bit more in depth, and we're kind of going to spend a little bit more time reading this, but we kind of dive into this, right? So if you look around, it's hard to not to conclude laziness. So this is basically still kind of backtracking to the laziness statistics, right? So you might even see the same type of thing at your own job, but laziness comes out in even in national statistics. So right now, estimates of the non-participation rate in the workforce are close to 40%. This means that almost 40% of the people who could work are not doing so. Now, this includes many people who have legitimate reasons for not working. There are people who do. There are people who do have reasons for. But you have people who are able to work, but they're choosing not to work. Okay. Now, this is bad for businesses, and I personally, this is my personal thing. Is I personally believe that this is bad in America in general, right? Because if you look at, I mean, America has natural resources, but most of our natural resources is intellectual. You have the intellectual property, you have basically the entrepreneurship spirit, and you also have capitalism, right? You can talk about capitalism, good or bad, but capitalism is what built America to be what it is today. So we can't talk bad about what basically gave life to this country. Now, how does this get better? Okay. If we're looking from a perspective where people are refusing to work, what's going to happen is a lot of those jobs are going to get outsourced to AI and robotics, right? People, because then again, if it costs the company $50,000 or maybe even cost them 70 grand to buy a robot, right? And remember, I showed you guys the video. Remember, I showed you guys a video of a robot cleaning a toilet. I don't know if I showed you guys that video. Let me see if I can find the video here. So there's a video of a robot that was cleaning a toilet. Okay. Now, this is not initially what I wanted to talk about, but I want to kind of show. I'm going to show you guys one where I'm going to show you guys the McDonald's robot. So I'm going to show you guys the McDonald's robot. So this is the McDonald's automated drive-through. This is an automated thing. Yeah, automated restaurant. And I want you guys to kind of take a look at this because this to me is concerning, right? Especially when you have people like, yeah, they don't want to do it. They don't want to go to work. They don't want to do any of that stuff. This to me is concerning because it's like you are. It's a position in which let me see if this. Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, that's the one I'm looking for. Yeah, all right. Let's go ahead and let's go ahead and take a listen. Take a listen to this video, guys. So this is in Fort Worth, Texas. You have a McDonald's restaurant that is fully automated. Okay, you have an automated restaurant, and if you see it, where the robot is literally the one serving the food, and people just basically walk in there and yeah, I think yeah. So this is someone driving it. She's going to go take a look at the. This isn't Fort Worth, Texas, right? Goes in, you order your food. Just look at that. The machine brings it out, gives you the food, completely all automated. You just go and place your order. This is crazy, guys. All right, so you got obviously this is the machine has always been there, but you just pull up and oh, there's a human being. I didn't know there's a human being. Why is that person? But for the most part, is you pretty much have a machine that's pretty much doing this, right? And I think there's another one where you had a machine cleaning the toilet. You had a robot cleaning toilet, which to me is I think that's the one that's even scarier. So robot cleaning toilet. So there was a robot that was cleaning the toilet, and that was like I think yeah, that's the one. It opens the door. Okay, so let's go ahead and watch. Yeah, this one. That's the one I'm looking for. Let's go ahead and see. So it opens the door. It gets in. Yeah, see that? How crazy is that? That's just insane. It's actually doing a pretty good job. So now you seeing it from here where you literally it's putting everything in. It's checking. It's vacuuming. It's it's doing a way better job than I would do. It would do a way better job than anybody would do. Right? And guess what? It doesn't need to sleep. It doesn't sleep. It doesn't complain. It doesn't need time off. It doesn't need anything. It might break and then you just call the mechanic to come fix it. Now, if you look at it, this machine, see, it opens the door and then it leaves. Right? So now this machine, for the most part, it might probably cost them maybe 40, 50, maybe even 60 grand to put it in, right? Maybe even 70 grand. But they pay one time for it, and maybe maintenance costs is $2,000 a year. It's probably over the course of 20 years going to save them hundreds of thousands of dollars. So by people choosing not to work, it's actually infringing on the fact as to one of the key American dreams is American is the fact that people now aren't doing it. So unless you're learning how to program the machines and operate the machines, you're now basically being in competition with something that doesn't complain, that doesn't need time off, that doesn't need anything. It doesn't matter if it's raining. You just turn it on, boom, it goes and does its job. Right? So it's slowly but surely going to keep replacing and automation is going to come in. It's going to take a lot of jobs. In the next 10 years, most blue collar work is going to be automated. And ChatGPT is going to come in where the definition of white collar jobs will completely be redefined. So when people choose not to work, what happens is you're leaving a lot of vacuum for automation, right? Because these jobs have to be done. Somebody has to do it. And I understand the need for more pay, and I think 100% should be a need for more pay. But then the key thing is automation is the competition, and when you compete with something that is, for the most part, it's not human, it's designed strictly for work. It's a losing battle that we're all going to lose, right? And I think, in a way, if you ask me, I honestly, I mean, it's cost efficient for every business. But genuinely, I do think that most people need to either start improving their skills and learning more about AI so that they can come up on top. Okay. So now, as we kind of go ahead and dive in a little deeper, which is interesting, is to, we're talking about the hiring stuff, is to, which is, this is another statistic. This is just kind of like to kind of seal in the point I was kind of trying to make earlier, right? And the point I was trying to make earlier and is here. So we're finding it to this point here where most businesses are struggling to find employees, right? Remember, guys, we're saying it. They did. It's this struggling to find employees. Let's see if I can get this stuff to show up here. Oh, okay. Oh, nope. I messed that one up. That was a yeah. That's the one I was looking for. All right, perfect. All right, so Most businesses are struggling to find employees, right? So this is the stats here. So no, I'm not trying to do that. Thank you. And of course, no stories, please. No stories, guys. No stories. So here's this. So hiring and retaining employees remain the top challenge for small businesses. According to a survey of 1,100 businesses by Goldman Sachs, 10,000 small business small business voices out last week. 90% of businesses that are hiring are finding it difficult to recruit candidates for open positions. Okay. So think about it. 90% of businesses are struggling to find candidates. And there's numerous reasons. And I think I could comment on this and give my honest opinion on it. But I personally think we're living in a day and age now where honestly, if you ask me, I'd say we're living in a day and age now where there's the fast money. Everybody wants to make fast money. And I believe this current generation, I have nothing, I mean, nothing bad to them. I have nothing. I mean, I believe in this generation, the 40-year work, work for 40 years. And I personally, if you even ask me, I think the working for 40 years as well is kind of a flawed system. But people don't subscribe to that system anymore, right? Because everyone understands now that, hey, I'm just going to stop my own business and go direct to the consumer, right? Because go direct to the consumer rather than having the business, go direct to the consumer and then give me a cut of the profits. I can just go direct to the consumer and get 100% of profits plus. But the only problem is it's going to take a lot of work. But you got to look at it from a perspective of this. Unless you're willing to put in the work, and I'm talking to everyone else who's like, because most businesses are struggling, they're going to struggle. The reality is this is if you have a business, if you're not using AI or you're not outsourcing the virtual assistants, if you genuinely do need people to be there, then it's just going to be a necessary part of the business. I honestly have no advice for you on that one. Honestly, I personally don't know what you should do there. Okay. I know that, yeah. And that another YouTube video might help you. But I'm talking to the people who are choosing not to because you want to pursue something else. I'm going to say this is the market is getting very, very competitive. And if you're going to compete in the market, as far as running your own operations, running your own business, then you have to understand that it takes time. Fast money comes with slow problems. All right. But the slow problems, a lot of times, will take you out. That's one. And then two, you got to be able to keep learning. Keep learning. Subscribe to the channel so you can keep getting some more stats, more facts, and some learning more ways how you can improve yourself. Okay. And I'm saying this is if you choose to not follow the 40-year path, then understand that's fine. That's perfectly fine. But you're getting into a market where now you're competing with that person who's going to be hiring you. Being an entrepreneur, I know Instagram makes it sound like very, very appealing and people pulling up in Lambos and everyone's like Lambos and pulling up in Bugattis and all that stuff. Most of it's not real. It's all rented. They pay $2,000. They rent it for the day. Get a photographer. Take 200 pictures. They have multiple outfits, different locations. And then this way they can post as many times. They have content for the next 90 days. And you think that they have a Lamborghini when in reality that was just all one day and they just posted all those photos. Be very realistic, okay, as to how you approach things. Your current knowledge, if you're not making $1 million, is because you don't know how to. If you're not making your ideal income, it's because you don't know how to. Spend the time learning how, then implement, right? But I would say this is make sure you have a steady stream of income. So take a job, get a steady stream of income to be able to provide for you and your family, and then spend 3 to 4 hours a day learning on the side. And then once you're ready, you have enough knowledge, boom, you can execute, right? But remember, the market is very competitive. That's what I got for you guys today. So tomorrow, I believe tomorrow we'll be talking about the declining. So it's a declining, men are declining. So it's not men are declining, but there's a decline in the amount of men that are applying to college, which is about a 5.1%. Okay, that's a few million are not going to college and you're going somewhere else. So we're going to be talking about that in tomorrow's live. So just make sure that you tune in, you subscribe to the channel, and if you like this video, share this video with a friend. And it's a pleasure talking to you. And as always,